It's that time of year where we're setting goals, or maybe you've already set them. And I don't know about you, but I've been well trained in setting SMART goals. But sometimes when I don't reach those goals, I don't feel very smart. And sometimes when I do reach those goals, it's not very fulfilling. So on today's episode, my friend Krista Hutchins and I are going to talk to you about turning goal setting on its side and learning to set peace goals. Let's get started. Hey friends, we are live. Hey, welcome to Redefining Hustle, Pursuing Success as a Christian Woman. I'm Erin Harrigan, your host. This is our premiere live stream episode. The podcast has been going on. We're going into our 5th year, you guys, which is so incredible. But this year, I really felt the tug from the Lord to bring it live because there are people who can take a few minutes and watch it live. And I want you to have the opportunity to get to know me, to get to know the content that the Lord has given me to serve you as ambitious Christian women. So if you ever feel like you like the hustle, but you're sort of anti-word, or it makes you shudder a little bit, this podcast is for you because it's all about how do we emulate Jesus in our work and work with a purpose and intention and a sense of timing and always seeking our Father's instruction. And today I am so thrilled and honored to have my friend Krista Hutchins of Do a New Thing here with us today, because this is the time of year, right, that we're setting our strategy and our goals. And maybe you've already started doing that. But I don't know about you. I get a little bit tired of setting the SMART goal and either not achieving it or achieving it in a way that leaves me worn out and not peaceful, which God intended us to live in peace. He didn't intend us to live in chaos, but don't we sometimes cause that for ourselves? So, Krista, welcome to the show. I'm so excited you're here.
Thank you so much, Erin. I am honored to be your first live streaming guest. It's always fun.
I know. So, Krista, tell us a little bit about what you do. And then, really, because we like to spend a focused 15 minutes on these episodes, let's jump right into the impetus behind peace goals and what does it mean to set them?
Okay. I am a project manager in the engineering and construction industry. I work full time. And in my spare time, evenings and weekends, I help Christian women who have a dream and but a fuzzy vision, put some structure and strategy around it, and provide accountability and project management skills so they can actually do what God called them to do. Of course, I have a special heart for women like me who are working full time while they're trying to do what God's called them to do. So that's what I do, and that's who I love to serve. And as I've been working with women over the past 7 years, I've learned that SMART goals can sometimes make us feel really dumb and they're great for some people. I will just start off by saying that some people love SMART goals. They thrive in that very specific, very measurable, very kind of hard-edged, hard driving type environment. But what I find for a lot of us is that even though I'm a type A, get it done girl, and you know that, Erin, I get things done. But even for someone like me, if I set a goal, a very specific, a very measurable, a very time-bound goal, and I don't reach that goal, then I feel like I failed. Have you ever felt like that? You had a goal that you were trying to reach, and you failed because you didn't make that final bit, but you failed to recognize the progress that you made along the way and the process that you went through, what you learned from it. So the whole idea of peace goals is to help you set goals that will give you a wider target and that are really in tune with your purpose and what God's called you to do, and that will honor and celebrate the progress that you make more than the results, because the results are not an indication necessarily of your effort. The results are usually an indicator of your method. And so the peace goals really focus on honoring the method, honoring the progress that you've made and the work that you do, so that you can then make objective decisions in adjusting the method. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Liz is chiming in here that she's absolutely felt that way. And I know I felt that way because I used to be that very hard lined, like setting the goals. The goals were about the money, the goals were about the position or the title, etc. And then because before Christ, I wrapped my identity into that. Of course, I
Right.
felt terrible if I didn't reach the goal. But then sometimes I even felt terrible when I did reach it. I just didn't reach it in a way that felt good. And thankfully, now I find my identity in Christ is so important. So I love how you explain that, Krista. And I think it sort of turns our comfort zone of SMART goals on its side so that we can look at this from a very different perspective, which is probably a little bit countercultural. At the
Yeah.
same time, listen, if SMART goals drive you, then we still love you,
Of course.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because
So,
they really do work for a lot of people, and that's totally fine, but if they've made
yeah,
you feel, out of sorts a bit, we have a different way, and we call
that's
it
right.
peace goals, right? So, we'll just dive right into those to the letters of the peace goals. P is for purposeful. So, you want the goals that you're working on to be tied to the purpose that God has given you, whether that is at home, at work, in a business, in your own business, as a mom, as a homeschooler, whatever it is that God's called you to in this season, you want your goals to be tied to that purpose and that they are very much in line with what God has called you to do. So that's the P is purposeful. The E is essential. And this is one of my favorites because sometimes we can be, we'll set the bar really low and we will pick some easy things that we know we can knock off, which is there's some benefit in that because it makes you feel good and motivates you to keep going. But there are things that don't necessarily really matter. So I always use the example of my tank top drawer in my dresser. I have about a million different tank tops, all different colors. And one time my goal was to get that organized. Okay, well, that's great. It saves me a couple of seconds every morning, but it's not something that really is going to move my ministry or business or my purpose forward. So you want to be working on the things that are essentially going to help you take the next steps, the things that are causing you the greatest pain, the things that are making you struggle in your ministry or business that you haven't been able to solve. Putting goals around those essential tasks will help you focus on them, and you will not only see the result of meeting the goal, but you'll feel the result of not having that pain, not having that struggle, and it will release all kinds of creativity and focus and productivity for you so that you're able to actually make progress. So purposeful, essential. Anything
And
else there, Erin?
I just wanted to step in a second on this essential. It also reminds me a little bit. There's a Gary Keller book called The One Thing. And it's
Mm,
sort of like the question to ask yourself in that is what is the one thing that by doing it would make everything else easier or unnecessary? And
right,
so this essential goal is kind of like that, right? And you may have
right.
multiple essential goals, but it's like really getting to the heart and the core of what is the essential of what needs to be done. I love it. Keep going.
Yeah, yeah. The A is adjustable, and this is something I learned from our friend Esther Littlefield, which is to set good, better, best goals. So not just one goal that you can reach, but set a good goal, something that you would be happy with, that would represent progress. Set a better goal, which would be maybe that's what you would set if you were setting SMART goals. It's a good, strong goal. And then the best goal is the only God could do it. Only if God shows up and does something miraculous could you meet that goal. And so, what that does is it helps us frame our goals in a bigger window than trying just to have that one very small target to shoot for. It keeps us from making the bar too low because we do have a low bar that we can reach, but we know we can also go beyond that bar and we have a good solid goal. And then if the very best goal happens, then we know that although all of the progress comes from the Lord, if we make that top goal, we know that is just extra from the Lord. That is just extra blessing from him, and we can celebrate and give him the honor and the glory for that and for all of the goals. But A is for adjustable.
I what I love about the adjustable piece, Krista, is that I I don't like the term big, hairy, audacious goal
Mm,
unless they're like you just said, like that's the best. Like only God could do it. Only if he were involved in it. And what I believe that allows us to do is to set the goals, but still dream big,
yeah.
but leave it at the foot of the cross, surrender it for his intervention.
Yeah, because there's so much you can learn and so much progress you can make before you get to audacious, right? Something doesn't have to be audacious. It can be good. I won't even go into my tribe about the word about the good enough because that's something that I hate. Saying something's good enough. It can be just good. Good is okay. Good is what God has called us. And when we say something is good enough, sometimes we're devaluing the good by just saying, because we really in the back of our mind we think it's not really good enough. I'm just kind of saying that, but anyway, we won't go there. That's a whole other thing. Okay, so the C is for current, and that means it needs to be something that is going to impact your life, ministry, business, whatever it is right now. It's great to have 5-year goals, 10-year goals, 1-year goals, even quarterly goals, but you want to be able to see the progress that you're making in your everyday life today. And I know that we get a lot of a bad rap for having kind of that instant gratification culture, but I think the instant gratification is only if you are expecting that the audacious thing is going to happen right away. But I think it is reasonable to expect that something is going to happen right away, that something good is going to come if you're making small, purposeful steps towards your goals and towards the work that God's called you to do. So make sure that your goal is current. It's not something that you're not going to see results about for another 5 years, that you want to see some kind of result, some kind of progress. Take that 5-year goal, break it down into something that you can see results currently. And then the last one is enjoyable. It needs to be fun. So many times we set goals that are just no fun and we frame them in negative words. I want to lose weight. I want to stop spending money, things like that. If we can turn those around and frame them in a positive way, I want to eat healthy. I want to have a sound financial plan. I want to save more. Whatever it is, frame it in a positive way and make it enjoyable. Gamify it. We learned all about gold stars when we were in kindergarten, right? Gold stars still work as adults. I can promise you that. Give yourself some gold stars to track your progress along the way. Do it with a friend that you guys can encourage and work with one another. But make reaching your goals, working on your goals, because the work is hard. There's no way you can get around the fact that reaching your goals is hard work. But in that hard work, you want it to be enjoyable as you're working your way towards the end. So that's the peace goals: purposeful, essential, adjustable, current, and enjoyable.
Oh, Krista, I love that. We do have a question from Hebron. Hebron, I hope that I'm pronouncing your name right. I'm just going to show it on the screen. It says adjustable can also mean that it should be flexible, right? Can you speak to
Yes.
that?
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes we get into something and we realize, oh, what I thought the goal should be is really not that. And
Mm.
so it allows us that flexibility. And it's one of the reasons that I love creating plans. Plans are not things that just keep you in a box. People a lot of very creative people hate planning because, oh, it puts me in a box and I'm just become a slave to my checklist. But having a plan allows you to be flexible because you know what it's going to cost. If you change the plan, you know what you have to replan. So planning and having flexible goals all leads towards a more flexible life.
So beautiful. So beautiful. Krista, as we finish up, first I want to thank you so much because this is such a different way to look at setting goals. And I can sense the relief in those who are
Mm.
watching, even those who will be watching the replay. So if you do watch this, watch it as a replay, make sure that you hashtag that. But the other thing I wanted to ask you is you mentioned that you've put together something for the audience, and I'm going to put that link here, but I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I have a special page just for listeners of your live stream and podcast. It's at doanewthing.com/redefining hustle. And if you go there, you can grab a a peace goals worksheet where you can work through your peace goals and kind of record some of the things that it's got several questions there to help you set those peace goals. And then there's also their information about my annual goal planning workshop, which happens on January the 7th. And you can get a discount code for the goal planning workshop, Build a Better Year, there on the Redefining Hustle page. So I hope you guys will stop by. Even if it's after January 7th, you'll be able to use that code on the recordings. So it's been just a delight to be with you as always, Erin. I love spending time with you. You encourage me, and you encourage me to be okay with the word hustle, because I'm definitely one of those that cringe at the word.
Well, I love that this episode, the first episode of January, which published today, is about, does hustle get a bad rap? And all this month, we're talking about the practicality of what does it mean to redefine hustle. And so, friends, I really encourage you, set peace goals. That is one more way that you can redefine hustle. It doesn't mean you're not working toward them, but just the relief and the calm that comes over us in that. And Hebron says, thanks very much. I'm used to setting SMART goals. I will now set peace goals. So there you go.
Yay, there you go.
And
there we go.
So thank you to everyone that's been watching. Thank you for your comments. Krista, thank you for being here. And make sure that you tune in to Redefining Hustle, Pursuing Success as a Christian Woman on all of your favorite podcast channels, and join us here every Monday at noon for our live stream. Krista, thanks for being my guest today.
Thank you so much for having me.